In this episode, I will walk back to the first first months of my joining the Cess as the head of MSD in Trivandrum. Well, the first day of my joining was my main role then was to receive Ghosh from the Trivandrum airport and enabling him to come to Cess and take over as Scientist E in the Geosciences division. Well, the Cess, when it was organized, there was a brainstorming session that happened in the Mascot Hotel Trivandrum, where very top Indian earth scientists participated, and based on the recommendation of that discussion, Cess was organized with director at the top and 4 divisions, scientific divisions, such as Atmospheric Sciences Division, Geosciences Division, Marine Sciences Division, and Resource Analysis Division. And of course, naturally, there will be an administrative division to support the smooth implementation of the programs related to budgeting and other administrative procedures. And the first chief of MSD was Dr. V.R.R.M. Babu, who was a professor, I think, in those, not professor, a reader in the Andhra University Voltaire. In fact, I have seen V.R.R.M. Babu in a different context, but he's done a PhD on the pegmatites of some Nellore belt. I believe that paper appeared in what is called the Journal of Petrology those days. And Vadalamudi Ram Mohana Babu. Vadalamudi Raja Ram Mohana Babu is what is abbreviated as V.R.R.M. Babu. Very pleasant man, always with a smiling face. And, I cannot do that because Babu has a beautiful face. And of course, that probably is one of the added advantages. He can also always put up a smiling face. He can reprimand his people or staff, probably, very rarely, with a smiling face only. Anyway, V.R.R. Babu has developed what is called a coastal zone management program, because the coastal zone management program was originally conceived and legislated in 1972 in the state of California. And, when Babu left, I just walked into his space. And the second day or so, one young scientist, C.P. Rajendran, came along to my office and sought permission to discuss with me a problem related to his proposed research. Proposed research partly approved by the Geosciences Division head, N.G.K. Nair. Well, when I went through the initial pages of the file, I saw a noting by the director stating, let the head MSD go through this file before final approval. So I told Rajendran that I need some time to read and understand the reason for the director's noting about my approval of or my recommendations or otherwise of the proposal for research. Well, I said within 72 hours I will be done with the work. So by Thursday, or the first week of my joining, I made a recommendation, a noting of our favor of approval by director, in which I did not, bluntly recommend the approval of the project, for reasons that there was a sort of a skew in the research methodology as well as the focus of the research project. Well, this actually created a huge problem, quote unquote huge problem. Almost all the scientist bees in the GAD, as well, Geosciences division, as well as in the Marine Sciences division, got kind of upset. They are all young people in the mid 20s maybe, or early 30s. And, they really got upset. Of course, such things, details, I knew only later. Of course, I don't care about what another person feels. I am only caring about the type of science we do. And as far as I am concerned, we have to be doing the science, whatever that is done during that particular time in the rest of the world. Otherwise, it will be waste of money, because this funding is not from any external agency. It is from the research fund of the Cess only. So that much about this project. And finally, what happened to the director's decision was, what the director's decision was, director told MSD, let MSD take over this project. When, of course, for some reason, Rajendran withdrew from the proposal. And then for known or unknown reasons, he just joined as a, switched over to what is called Geosciences division, or GSD, not GAD, as I mentioned earlier. And then another thing I did was, I made a quick trip to the regional office of the MSD at Cochin, somewhere near what is called Kaccheripadi now, and those days near Mada tourist home. Well, I landed, I took the Wayanad Express on the early morning of 23rd of June. And then by 9 o'clock or quarter after 9, the train reached the Ernakulam South Station. And of course, there was Dr. Baba, who is in charge of the regional office, waiting for me. And, I just walked out of the station and I saw Baba. And before that, I noticed what is called the van with a branded van, branding in the sense with the name of Center for Earth Science Studies, etc., regional office, etc. So the recognizing Baba was not a very difficult problem. We exchanged the greetings and walked over to the van, and the van, the Baba asked, sir, I have booked a room for you in the Mada tourist home if you want to freshen up. Before going to the office, you can do that. I will send the van back again. I said, no, we will go straight to the office. And there is not much to freshen up. I am as fresh as I was in the early morning when I started my trip. And then, once I reached the office, there were several people greeting me and welcoming me to the office. And I went and of course, wished back everyone and walked straight into Baba's office. And Baba had arranged, obviously for a cup of tea and biscuits. And after that, by about 10 o'clock or 10:30 rather, I went on a tour along with Baba to the various facilities available in the regional center. of the Center for Earth Science Studies. I met Mr. Premchand, one of the physical oceanographer, and two more guys. I cannot place exactly the name of those. Oh yeah, I think Thomas was there as in the physical oceanography division. So then there was another man by name A.S.K. Nair, who is also in the, not a physical oceanographer, but a geophysicist who came to Cess through after graduating with the applied geophysicist degree in Roorkee University, then after a short stint as a MPhil student in the Jawaharlal Nehru University under Professor Asthana, and finally landed in a job in the Cess, but attached to those days to what is called the regional office of the Center for Earth Science Studies. And then, of course, there was Mr. Paul, a chemist in charge, Mr. Ausef. Ausef had a stint with the Geological Survey of India Chemical Laboratory in Hyderabad. And Ausef is actually a person, a chemist who is exposed to the analysis of geological materials, solids as well as liquid. And Ausef had actually designed and built more or less a wet chemical laboratory in the regional center of the Cess at Kochi, and which I learned only after the tour, completing the tour. Anyway, then we were discussing. We sat down after the tour. We sat down with Baba. I sat down with Baba, and he explained to me that he has plans for erecting coastal laboratories in the piers available for sort of on a gratis basis, and the space also from the Harbour Engineering Department of the state. And there are piers in PIER, pier, Kadal Palam, piers in Thellecheri, then in Alappuzha, then in Thiruvananthapuram. And of course, these coastal laboratories, for that matter, were first in the country where a breaker period and breaker height could be monitored or were monitored later on. And afterward, then Baba also told me that he has a sanction to order for 2 fiberglass boats, 24 feet long, without, I think, Yamaha outboard engine. And one of that first one was under construction in some boat yard in what is called the Mangalore area. No, Mangalore is very important now because it's a coastal town. It has it's a huge port as well as all kinds of fisheries operations and supporting facilities like building boats of different sorts and repair of engines and so on and so forth. So then by around 12, Baba invited me to address the staff there, the scientific staff, in a makeshift conference hall. And, Baba introduced me to these people, this staff, and then when it came to my time, as usual, you tell them what you expect out of them, and also naturally, and they will be always getting support through me as the head of the division. But only trouble is, whatever the new programs are proposed, that should be appropriate for Kerala, and from the platform of the Marine Sciences Division, and also should be something that will make use of the techniques and technologies used by the rest of the world. But then I said, I would also want to participate in the cruises when a cruise is ready for implementation, so on and so forth. And then I told that these are all the things I have to tell you. And now I would want your comments on, whatever I told as the program area, elements of program in the MSD at that point in time from the regional center. So, everyone on the four scientists, Bs, stood up, and I said, no, there is no need to stand up before me in this, especially in this kind of meeting. We are only hardly 9 people in this, including me, including the speaker. So you be seated and talk to me, or tell us what is your intention, what is that you find to be important, and that I missed that. And naturally, there was not a great miss. 95% of whatever I said was appreciated and thoroughly by the staff. And then by about 1:30, we all, the meeting came to a conclusion. And I and Baba went for lunch, and in the Mada tourist home, my place for one night, on the Saturday evening. There I had a fish curry and, a full Kerala meal. Because once you are into Kochi, the fish curry is very important. Fish fry is also very important, because, you get a so-called fresh fish straight from the boat. That is the advantage. Then I told Baba that, Baba, I will come back to office only in the evening, say, let us say 3 o'clock. Until then, I will just relax. And not relaxing in the sense, lying down and brooding over, I don't know what. And then by 3 o'clock, I went back to the office. I had a sat with Baba. And then, in the evening, we all, by 5 o'clock, I said, we will go for today. Tomorrow, we will meet again. Then, now Baba said, sir, we are going to accord you a reception, our new marine sciences head, in a local restaurant. We would come to pick you up by 7:30, let us join. But then by lunchtime, there was a murmur in the office. In other words, the driver of the regional center walked up and told some office staff that Sanjay Gandhi was killed in a plane crash in this Safdarjung area of New Delhi, and somewhere around morning 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever. Those days, it takes at least 4 hours to read any news from one corner of capital of the nation, to a very important town of India, even those days, like Kochi. So unlike these days, no television. That is the most important thing. Even if there was television, no television. Then, of course, there was a pile of gloom. People had different opinions about Sanjay Gandhi. In the street also, that was the chief talk about, how it happened, why it happened, and so on and so forth. That is what we enjoy doing it. We have all kinds of imaginative explanations for any event which will be far off from the truth. Anyway, so in the evening, we were in the bar, not in the bar, a bar hotel, let us say. And we had a dinner there. There also, the different groups seated in the hotel, they were also talking about Sanjay Gandhi and how he was playing a crucial role during the emergency, and and after which Indira Gandhi lost the election, or Congress party lost the election. And, others like George Fernandez and team came in to rule the country. Anyway, then the next day, the important mission was to go to Swift in the Willingdon Island and meet a very innovative, hard-working, brilliant engineer by name Shivadas. Shivadas is an electronics engineer of those days, and very innovative man. He is the one who had developed what is called a transducer, to measure the breaker height as well as the frequency, etc., etc. And and then the recording system and the filters, so on, all electronics. Certain things are purchased outright, and certain others are put together. or maybe the entire thing is, components are purchased and assembled together. And this has been approved by some agency of the National Institute of Oceanography Engineers as an ideal system, a fair system to record the breaker behavior. So, in fact, Cess had ordered at least 3 such systems. Then, what else Mr. Shivadas demonstrated to me was a settling tube. Settling tube is actually what is used to measure the velocity of the settling particles of a sediment in a column of water, with a certain ambient temperature and a continuous chart record where the velocity will be recorded. And from that chart record, strip chart, what you do is you extract the velocities and then create some what is called a size distribution curve. After, this took practically almost until lunchtime. And then we all together walked over to the canteen and had our lunch. And then by 2 o'clock, I said, Shivadas, we will meet again. And with that promise, I went back to what is called the regional office, regional lab of Baba. And after 2 hours or so, because my train is at 5 o'clock, I believe, the Baba took me over to the what is called Mada tourist home. I did not have to what is called settle the bill because I was a guest of the regional center of Cess. And Baba saw that I came along with me to the what is called the South Station, and I boarded the Venad Express to reach Thiruvananthapuram at in the evening. Late in the evening, you know what happened that day? Geeta's grandmother, our Ammumma, died in Thiruvananthapuram in the next door home of Professor Sarojini Amma. And she was discovered dead in the morning. So I did not know because I left my home by 4 a.m. So, when I came back, the cremation was over. That also happened on that particular day. We will come with another episode in the next time.